My sister's a giant at 5'3", told to stay quiet, decided to speak. Cast a pariah, girl you shouldn't be. But she did it for her and she did it for me. My sister's a giant at 5'9", a sword and a shield and a drawer of lines. I can still feel his touch and it burns like an iron. She laid him out on his back as she covered mine. My mom was a giant at 12 years old, a child and a man and a mind to say no. Oh, how we were raised, now that I know. It all makes sense now the story's been told.
Hey everyone, I'm super excited for the first edition of Ahead of the Curve on Ogive Noise. My name is Chad Apitz and I'll be your host for the next hour or so. And I am celebrating On the Shoulders of Giants with ELSKA. And the track we just watched was the title track and possesses some serious strength. It was first highlighted on the Me Too Minneapolis album compilation this summer. ELSKA, what were some of the catalysts for writing this song and this album in general?
Well, first, thank you so much for having me on and celebrating this record with me. That song was inspired by the Me Too movement and was a part of the Me Too Minneapolis record, as you mentioned. And I really wanted to take that opportunity to honor all of the women, the generations of women who allowed for us to have what became the hashtag Me Too movement. There were so many people who were telling their stories, and it would have fallen on deaf ears without all of the work that had been done for generations. So that song serves to lift up the people who have been fighting this fight for a long time.
That's fantastic. So throughout the course of this interview, I might refer to you as ELSKA, or I might slip up and say Elsa, which is your name. Mm-hmm. How did you choose ELSKA as your artist name?
Well, ELSKA is an Old Norse word that means love, roughly translated to love. And I wanted to do a stage name to act a little bit as a buffer between who I am as a person and the art and the subject matter that we were putting out there. But I wanted something close enough that it felt still like me, and ELSKA is very close to Elsa, so it seemed like a good fit.
Good fit indeed. And you mentioned, ELSKA being a Norse word. Are you from Minnesota originally or somewhere else?
Yep, Minnesota, born and raised. I spent my childhood up in Duluth and moved down to Minneapolis a few years ago and stayed put.
Awesome. Now, that being said as well, when did you first become interested in music? Was it in Duluth or was it the Minneapolis scene that kind of drew you in? Where did you kind of find that love, that passion for music?
Well, the Minneapolis music scene is incredible, and I'm happy to be in its midst. But music was something that was always there. I hear that I was a pretty loud child, so it seems that the singing piece was already a little bit there. But then as a young girl, I always found myself sitting at the piano, whether or not I could play it, but just was intrigued by that instrument and started taking lessons by kindergarten and found myself in and out of lessons and in and out of choirs all throughout my growing years. And then it just kind of seemed like a good fit for the long term.
Awesome. And who would you say are your influences for becoming an artist, both in the music world and maybe a family member, a hero, a heroine? Would you say those are?
Well, in the industry, I feel like I've always been inspired by the greats of the 60s and 70s. I just always appreciated the way that they used music as a vehicle for social change. Bob Dylan, Carole King, John Lennon, the Beatles. Those are all some of my favorites. And it's music that I grew up with, so I can blame my parents a little bit for that. And speaking of them, they have encouraged me and supported me throughout my entire life to pursue music. And I would not have been able to do it without them. They've provided an emotional safety net for me all of these years and have just continued to encourage me to keep going. So they have a huge role to play in this as well.
So I think we're going to get into the next two songs here. We've got You First and Endless Winter.
Yeah, You First is a little bit of a relationship song. It's two mountain climbers who rely on each other to keep going. They've got a shared goal, and it's important that they continue to work together. But that doesn't always happen. And then Endless Winter is a song about mental health, comparing anxiety and depression to what feels like an endless winter. You know, we know the sun will come out. It always does. We know that spring always comes. Hopefully we'll see that again this year. But it doesn't always feel that way. It's sometimes it just feels dark and cold, and that song is what that's all about.
This weather, but we agreed we won't stop climbing, bound by soul and steel and tether. Yet I feel the pull of you falling behind. You know I'll never give up now, but you first. You know I'll never give up now, but you first. Fast approaching walls of danger. I don't know if I can hold. If you won't help us over, we're making our last stand upon these stones. You know I'll never give up now, but you first. You know I'll never give up now, but you first. You know I'll never give up now. In the interest of preservation, I find I'm reaching for the blade. There's no way to rescue both of us. With one cut, one of us is saved. I don't wanna give up now, but you first. I don't wanna give up now, but you first. I don't wanna give up now, but you to welcome endless winter is to embrace the cold that never left, to lock yourself in shelter, to chase away the hope of summer's breath. And rather we suffer than chance the light to lose it, to live in endless winter, to face the days with no hope left. Accept that this is everything, to draw the blinds, keep sun from coming in. And rather we suffer than chance the light to lose it. I yearn to see color, but what if the clouds open just to close again? Be gone, endless winter. Be gone. Move along, endless winter. Move along.
Endless Winter ended with suicide prevention, help, awareness, the number itself, right into the video. Can you talk to us about what went into that decision?
Yeah, I think right now we're getting out of a pretty unique winter. Winter is always challenging, especially for mental health. And now we're in the midst of a pandemic where we're all feeling pretty isolated, and mental health issues and crises are on the rise. And so it was important to me to have information readily available for people. This is actually work that my own dad has been doing for decades, making sure that resources are right at people's fingertips, because there's such a short amount of time between when a decision is made and when intervention is possible. So to have those resources readily available for people is really important. And so if this video by chance gets to somebody in that window, if they have those resources, hopefully intervention can happen as quickly as possible.
That's excellent. Very inspiring, very admirable. So thank you for doing that. Because I was also going to ask, I mean, is it coincidence that you released your album now that spring is here, with Endless Winter and everything like that? So I just really appreciate, you kind of putting it in there, because winter seemingly lasts 7-8 months around here. So
it does. Yeah. And we get the occasional snowstorm in April. Well, not occasional. It seems like every April we get one, and even in May. And so that's where it does the words endless winter. It's like, we made it. We're in spring now. And it's like, nope, here comes the snow again. And that feels a lot of times like how depression and anxiety, it's like you're climbing your way out of it, and then something sucks you back in, and it just sometimes feels endless. And it's not. It will come to an end. Brighter days are ahead. Warmer weather is ahead.
So On the Shoulders of Giants really deals with some pretty serious subject matter, but you craft it so wonderfully well within the song. Talk to me about your creative process. Like, how do you even begin to craft a song, let alone the bravery it takes to be able to address some of the subject matter?
Well, all the subject matter is all there's social issues or political issues that are very important to me. As far as the song crafting itself, I am very fortunate to have an incredible team. Most importantly, my writing music partner, Owen Sartori, who has helped me learn more about what it is to write a good song, and has helped me formulate the lyrics in a way that they're received, put together the musical bed, and create melodies. All of those things are components that he's really helped me hone as an artist. And then just with this album specifically, nothing would exist in the way that it does now without him.
Awesome. And because I was going to say, the lyrics that are in the songs are very forceful, yet delicate and direct. And you were kind of mentioning, hearing the melody. Like, when you first create that song, do you hear the melody? Is it more just like the subject matter and everything is built around it? What would you say comes first in that songwriting process? I've always been, interested to figure out how that happens.
Yeah, I think each of the songs was a little different. Generally, the way that we've worked is creating a music bed, and then out of that, sometimes melodies will just kind of come calling. They'll just pop out, and then depending on how the music feels, I had a whole, and still do have a whole list of things that I am passionate about and that I want to say, and depending on how each of the songs felt, what was going to serve that song the best. What were we going to be talking about? So it's all a little bit of an evolutionary process, just slowly, one kind of thing after the next. It's never been something that's super set in stone. And each of the songs was created a little differently, but generally music, melody, lyrics.
So let's get into two more videos. I believe we have Stand Together and Hummingbird. You want to tell us a little bit about those two real quick?
Yeah, Stand Together was the first single, and it came out right around the inauguration. We had just come out of a contentious election, and tensions were high all across the country. So it seemed like a good fit to start bringing people together and remind us that there's power in standing together. We have a responsibility to hold those in power accountable for their actions. So the timing was pretty specific to the inauguration. And Hummingbird is just a fun song. It's a joyful, flirty love song.
Gotta think it over, think it over. Do we fight or run for our lives? Gotta think it over. It's time to face it. It's time to face it. We're gonna fight the fight of our lives. It's time to face it. 100 voices, 100 choices, 100 souls, arm in arm to carry the heavy load. We're gonna fight the fight of our lives if we stand together. Should have seen it coming, seen it coming. The tyrants come for every one of us. Should have seen it coming. There's strength in numbers, our numbers, and we're gonna fight the fight of our lives. 'Cause we're more the same than different, and there's more of us than we know. There's no time to waste, just time to take control. 100 voices, 100 choices, 100 souls, arm in arm to carry the heavy load. We're gonna fight with all of our might if we stand together. 100 patience, 100 decisions, 100 hearts, arm in arm when nobody thought we'd get this far. We're gonna fight the fight of our lives when we stand together. 1,000 voices, 1,000 choices, 1,000 souls, arm in arm to carry the heavy load. We're gonna fight with all of our might when we stand together. 1,000 visions, 1,000 decisions, 1,000 hearts, arm in arm when nobody thought we'd get this far. We're gonna fight the fight of our lives when we stand together. A million voices, a million choices, a million souls, arm in arm to carry the heavy load. We're gonna fight with all of our might when we stand together. A million visions, a million decisions, a million hearts, arm in arm when nobody thought we'd get this far. We're gonna fight the fight of our lives when we stand together. A million visions, a million decisions, a million hearts, arm in arm when nobody thought we'd get this far. We're gonna fight the fight of our lives when we stand together. A million visions, a million decisions, a million hearts, arm in arm when nobody thought we'd get this far. We're gonna fight the fight of our lives when we stand together. If I could just find a hummingbird, I bet I'd make him stay. Just too fast, too colorful, too bad they don't remain in the same place. Oh, my, check out that hummingbird. He can't make up his mind, 'cause he's not like any other bird. 'Cause just when he decides, he'll fly off to another one, then come back to the other one. I think I might want a hummingbird, and I bet I'll make him mine. A rose ain't red enough to keep him around, and the wildflowers just let anyone in to spread out. Seems like everybody's trying to lure him away. If he get close enough, I bet I'd make him stay. Here comes that hummingbird, and I know what's on his mind. He's just trying to wet about that beak of his. And every flower he finds, he'll fly off to another one, then come back to the other one. I don't know why I want that hummingbird, but I'm gonna make him mine. A rose ain't red enough to keep him around, and the wildflowers just let anyone in to spread out. Seems like everybody's trying to lure him away, but if he knew how sweet I am, I bet I'd make him stay. And if he found me, boy, those wings would never get tired, and boy, he'd never feel hunger. I'd feel like home, because home is wherever you are. A rose ain't red enough to keep him around, and the wildflowers just let anyone in to spread out. Seems like everybody's trying to lure him away. If he'd get close enough, I'd let him go. A rose ain't red enough to keep him around, and the wildflowers just let anyone in to spread out. Seems like everybody's trying to lure him away, but if you knew how sweet I am, I bet I'd make him stay.
So we've seen some pretty great music videos so far, and there's a music video for every single song on this album. How do you even begin to make a decision like that? What goes into the recording process, to make this a reality?
Well, YouTube is one of the biggest platforms for people to discover new music. And when you're going through the process of distributing music, it automatically goes to YouTube. But what they create is just a little thumbnail of the album cover. And if you're on YouTube, obviously there's the video component to that platform. And so it's not a very interesting thing. If you're going there for music videos and people are trying to find new music, they don't want to just stare at a thumbnail. So it became kind of an obvious choice of like, okay, well then let's give the people something to look at. And for the videos themselves, not only is he a great songwriter and producer, he's also a very good video editor. Owen made much of all of this, all the video components happen. So I'm very, very grateful for the work that he's done with the video part as well.
And along those lines too, so many people put out EPs or they leak, singles or, over the course of time. You as an artist, putting yourself out there for the very first time, what made you have that decision to release a full-length album versus an EP to begin with?
Pretty quickly, we had a lot of song starts, music beds, and I certainly had a lot that I wanted to say. So it just kind of worked its way out that we had all this content. It's like, well, let's just go for it. We're going to go all in. And so it ended up being an album of 12 songs, which is a lot of songs and a lot of work, but there's not one that I would sacrifice. They all mean something special to me. And I feel like the content, the actual lyrical material is something that is important for me for others to hear, should they choose to do so.
Well, I think it was a great call by you, because with the subject matter, the focus, and just the range of sound that you have on Shoulders of Giants, I can't imagine leaving one or two tracks out. That would haunt me forever. So I think you made the right call, putting them all out there right away.
Thank you.
So let's get into two more tracks. One of them is my favorite off the album, Last Tree on Earth, and we've also got Caroline.
Everybody gather round, step up to this darker ground. Behold the miracle the soil has birthed. It reaches to the heavens high. It breathes the sun, it holds the light. Feast your eyes, behold the last tree on earth. Do you remember? Do you remember? This was the start of who we are. Do you remember? Thousands together, making the groves that stretch so far. Come on, come on. This is the only tree on earth. Gather around and take it in before it's gone. We used to live as friends, you know. They above and we below. And one without the other would surely fail. We forgot the sacred bond, and now we both are all but gone. There's gotta be another way to end this tale. I want to remember the air and the terror, made to keep and not to own. It's our beginning and will be our ending, and every life right here is sown. Come on, come on. This is the only tree on earth. Gather around and take it in before it's gone. 'Cause when it's gone, just like everybody else. But if it's safe, we've saved ourselves. Come on, come on. Come on, come on. This is the only tree on earth. Gather around and take it in before it's gone. 'Cause when it's gone, just like everybody else. But if it's safe, we've saved ourselves. Come on, come on. Come on, come on. Come Caroline, do you know where my gloves are? The ones that you took off, so I wouldn't get cold. We were 18 because we were women. We weren't really human. or so we were told. So we marched in search of hope, and we fought the battle so nobody else would have to know what we know. Caroline, we fell in love there. Our lives became one there when it wasn't allowed. We had to hide like we'd committed a crime, dear. I wanted to show everyone, dear, but couldn't say it out loud. So we marched in search of hope, and we fought the battle so nobody else would have to know what we know. We stood together when the government said we couldn't vote, when politicians had a mission to decide who we hold our hands controlled, when there was nothing that could make me let go. Caroline, I hope you can hear me. I still fight like you're near me, and I gotta go.
So the woman whose photo was at the end of the Caroline video, that was a photo that had gone viral, and that woman was the inspiration for that song. And now, I don't know her story, but we imagined what her life must have been like. A woman who had been protesting since the 60s and 70s and is still protesting some of the same issues today. And then the video before that, Last Tree on Earth, was that song was inspired by a trip that I had taken to San Francisco, and I had seen the redwoods. And one of the things I learned was that they're incredibly sensitive to changing climates, and that they won't survive if we don't do something to change our behavior.
That's very well said, because, again, Last Year on Earth is my favorite song on the album, and it really gets me excited for getting out in nature again. I often say that, like, when I do, I try to get lost on purpose out in nature. It's such a good way, to invigorate yourself and just be connected with nature. So, but that song is also a very effective reminder that our environment is in serious danger. And it takes fortitude, really, to talk about these type of issues in your songs. And that's why I'm always so impressed with the subject matter and content that you have on the Shoulders of Giants. So a question that I've got is, if you weren't making music, if you weren't speaking about these things, what would you be doing now if it wasn't for your music career?
My initial path before I chose music was education. I wanted to be a social studies teacher and be talking to kids about these exact things in a classroom. But I could also imagine myself working in policy creation or in the mental health field, but something that's actively in the things that I'm singing about. And so huge shout out and gratitude to the people who are doing that work, boots on the ground people who are doing that every day. They're making the real changes happen. So.
Absolutely. And I think it's really cool, though, too, again, that you focus with this type of subject matter material, because there are two fields of thought, or two sides of thought, that, a music should just be something you listen to and you enjoy. And other ones use that platform to help educate and to inspire and to help progress things that are going on. And again, I think this is why On the Shoulders of Giants resonated with me so much, is because here's this local artist that is really trying to tackle these issues. Your very first album, just super impressed all around. So I just want to say thank you for tackling these subjects, because like you said, there are people who have boots on the ground, but in a sense, you are that inspiration to someone growing up and seeing kind of some of the injustices that are going on in the world, and they can gravitate towards this type of music. So again, really, really enjoy the approach.
I appreciate that very much. And what you just said reminded me of one of my favorite musicians of all time is Nina Simone, and something that she said back when a bunch of protests were happening in 60s and 70s was that it's an artist's duty to reflect the times. And that I just took that so to heart, that there's a responsibility. Art can move people. Art can be the catalyst for change. And I take that very seriously.
Excellent. That's what I love too. I always say that music, especially new music, is the purest form of new art, new creation. And again, when you put behind it, the themes that you do, again, incredibly effective and absolutely worth a listen. So let's get into two more songs. We've got Secondhand and Still Standing Still.
Full was the hourglass not long ago, true like her body not long ago, lines in her eyes never show, never show. Hole in his heart were better days, lost in their lives in younger days. How could the color they had for each other begin to gray? Slow is the arm around the wheel, gone is the love they used to feel. I don't know how they're ever gonna heal. No, dusk, the box is shut and countless tears with it. But on my wrist is a gift that's been with me since last Christmas. It reminds me of a good time, so I think I'm gonna keep it. I'm gonna keep it. And time is standing still. And time is standing still. Why is time still standing still? Why is time still standing Still Standing Still was actually the first song that was completed all the way through music and lyrics, and probably the most personal account of anything on the record. It's the most true in experience. And then Secondhand is a song, another relationship one, but a little bit more broadly speaking about the anxieties that we can experience in any relationship, honestly.
Excellent. And you know, knowing that you put all of your tracks out there, there are no hidden tracks, no secret tracks after On the Shoulders of Giants. What can your fans, your friends, your family expect from ELSKA in the future? Are you making new music, or are you like, I'm just done with this album, let me take a break?
No, it has been a lot of work for sure, but it's energizing. This is what I've been wanting to do for my whole life. So to see this in fruition is the most gratifying experience. Hopefully in the not too distant future, we'll be able to do live shows and touring again. But since we're not doing that, there's plenty of opportunity to keep writing music. So we'll just leave it at that.
Well, and that's what I love about, you know, this time of year now. You know, we're at the 1 year anniversary to some extent of the pandemic and everything being shut down. I can kind of see live music being a thing towards the end of this year, hopefully. When that is a thing again, who would you like to be on a ticket with, you know, at First Ave, at Ice House? You know, who would you like to play with?
That is a very good question. There are so many artists that I admire and whose music I listen to on a regular basis. One artist who I've loved since some of my earliest days is Sara Bareilles, and I feel like my style is kind of lives in her world a little bit, but the subject matter I feel like fits with more of like a Brandi Carlile. But I don't know that that ticket doesn't make as much sense. But I really appreciate some of the stuff that she sings about. But those are two of my big musical heroes.
Awesome. And what I noticed, you know, I'll be doing a music write-up and I'll be able to post it, you know, after your musical is live. I don't want to give away any spoilers, but one like tie that I made together was, it was almost like if London Grammar made a folk album. You know, and again, not like all the way through, but you know, there's so many elements of pop, folk, but you know, your voice alone, you know, is just as strong and powerful as London Grammar. Are there any other vocalists like that you kind of follow, enjoy? You mentioned Sara Bareilles.
Yeah. Well, that's a high compliment because I also love London Grammar, and they speaking of live shows, put on a great show. But I also, vocally, I love what the band Lucius does. It's these two women who just belt these incredible harmonies at the top of their lungs. And I was listening to one of their records earlier today, so they're fresh on my mind. And I love the musical style of Mitski. She is so creative, and her melodies and her music production, it's so fun to listen to. And every time I listen to her record, her most recent record, I'm sure this is true of all of her records, but there's just always something that's catching my ear every time I listen to it, it's like, I didn't hear that before. So I love creative, sneaky music production.
I love it. Well, let's get into two more music videos. We've got Stop Talking, Listen, and Happy in the Now.
Stop talking, listen. Fragile, so scared of the breaking, so scared of the touch that could undo the making, 'cause I might shatter, falling, approaching the ground. What if nobody saves us and the lights go out and none of this mattered? I know that change is the unchanging, and I already know that only a fool would need control. I need someone to show how to be happy in the now. in time, everything unravels, but our love is the twine that can keep each other whole. And I know that change is the unchanging, and I already know that only a fool would need control. I need someone to show how to be happy in the now. I want to finally know how to be happy in the now. I want to finally know how to be happy in the now. I want to finally know how to be happy in the now.
So earlier, I had mentioned that a focus of my dad's for a long time has been mental health and the way that we address it in society and the way that we talk about it. And both of those songs actually are directly about mental health. The first one being the experience of somebody, the way that society talks to somebody, what we think we should say when maybe we're not being as helpful. And then Happy in the Now is another one of those, like, this is what it feels like. This is a picture of what anxiety looks like. And so I'm just really grateful that I was raised in a house that prioritized mental health as much as it did, because clearly we're seeing it in real time, how important that is.
And again, I guess, going back to just, on the shoulders of giants in whole, in total, again, just very strong, positive, powerful, progressive, and a great message for anybody who needs that uplifting message. Help is it's just a great listen all the way through. And I guess, one of my final questions, ELSKA, is, if you were talking to a younger version of yourself, what would you say to her?
Oh, man. I would tell her to stop doubting herself so much. There were many years that I could have been doing this, and my internal monologue, talking myself out of it, trying to protect myself from being too vulnerable and taking too many risks, that voice got pretty loud for a number of years. And I wish she would have started believing in herself sooner.
It's very amazing story. And I relate to that a little bit too. Ogive Noise wasn't created until last October. And I found and it was really just a vehicle for writing about music and my passion for music. And it does, when I started putting some reviews out there, it's like, how do you suddenly feel very vulnerable, very stripped away. Anybody can say anything they want to about what you just put out there. So again, just looking at every single track that we just listened to, all of those, again, are just so strong, so inspiring, and just want to congratulate you on a fantastic record. And I can't wait for you to read what I have to say about it when I post it online tomorrow.
Well, thank you. And none of this would have happened without the incredible team that's been around me. And this last song is called Gratitude, so I'm just going to take a minute and share mine with the people who made it happen. Owen, who wrote the record with me, produced it, and has allowed it to be heard by as many people as possible. The musicians on it, Mark Messina, Ruben Thompson, Brian Ewald, shared their creativity and musical genius to make it happen. The other half of F5 Soundhouse, Davide Rosso, he's been an incredible mentor and cheerleader for this project. He's been so helpful behind the scenes, and he mastered the record. My dear friends Kelsey Duncan and Alex Johnson have seen to all of the graphics and the website and the social media and all the things that beyond the music. They just have made all of this beautiful. And most importantly, my dear family, my sister and brother-in-law, Kyle and Gretel, my little brother, Eli, and my mom and dad, who got me through to this moment. And Couldn't have done it without them. And Chad, thank you so much for being willing to sit down and talk about this record. It's been such a joy to share these things, and I just really, really appreciate you taking the time.
Absolutely. Well, thanks for the opportunity as well. And like I was saying, you know, when live music is a thing, can't wait to see your act live and support you in that way. And you know, further Ogive Noise and ELSKA collaborations hopefully to come. So again, just want to say congrats on a very, very strong and well done album. Let's listen to Gratitude.